Still a little wet out there, but it's nice and mild.
It is, and it's going to stay warm for the first half of the week, and then by next weekend, it's going to feel like the weekend before Christmas should. Keep the rain gear handy. We'll be kind of in and out of the wet weather tomorrow most of the day. I think we get a break, and then tomorrow night we'll pick up some wet weather. Another round will come through on Wednesday. Notice those temperatures staying mild, 50s in the morning, 60s in the afternoon through midweek. We start to cool a little bit Thursday, Friday. We'll see the temperatures drop a little bit more by the coming weekend. Grace in tomorrow morning, 4:30 a.m. She'll have the latest on what to expect out the door and those rain chances that we'll see through midweek.
Thanks, Jeff. Thanks for watching WAAY 31 News at 10. And stay right where you are. WAAY 31 Law Call is next.
This is WAAY 30.
Good evening and welcome to WAAY 31 Law Call. I'm Sharon, Doviet. Tonight we're taking your calls and questions and comments about insurance denials. When an insurance company denies a claim, that's just another day at the office for them, but it can cause significant hardship for individuals, especially they're already facing health problems. They've got financial challenges, and now they're expected to battle against a company that trains its agents in how to turn you down. We're interested to hear your thoughts. You have to be hiding under a rock not to have known about December 4th when it appears an individual took his frustrations with insurance denials to a deadly new level. And we'd like to hear your thoughts. We want to dive deeper into the legal details of this tonight. We're going to talk about how and why insurance companies deny so many claims, what's next for the defendant, and most importantly, why people are reacting so strongly to this story. We look forward to hearing your calls. You can call in, you saw the number 536-0077. You can call in, be live on the air, give your real name or give a made-up name, or we'll change your name for you. You can also text to that same number, and we'll be having some of your texts tonight. And we've got some emails. You can email any day of the week. You send it to lawcall@waytv.com. And when we get to a show that's on point, we pull some out. We've got Will League here tonight. You guys deal with insurance companies all day, every day. You do personal injury cases, and so I think this hits a nerve with you guys.
We do, and we deal with it quite a bit. And you know, there's everybody also around the news what happened December 4th. And you know, first off, you know, the CEO of United Healthcare, Brian Thompson, was a human being, and there's been a lot of support for the shooter, a lot of support for you know, against that and for this human being and his family. You know, can't take the law into your own hands. On Facebook, we've seen a lot of comments back and forth, and in social media that it was somehow justified. And you know, I'd like to talk about. We got a couple of questions for you tonight. Number one, was this murder of this innocent man, you know, justified in any way? And two, what are your thoughts about the American healthcare system and how it affects you and your family? None of us are exempt or immune from being sick and dying. At some point, all of us will need help in the way of medical treatment. And the system that we have in the United States is moderate at best. You know, healthcare, you know, your health, your family's happiness, arguably is one of the most important issue to us all. And so the American healthcare system is really an example of income inequality. If you're fortunate enough to have insurance, then, you know, great. If you're one of those Americans, let's talk about this. Compared to other developed countries, America pays twice as much for insurance and for health care.
Crazy. That's
triple the amount for pharmaceuticals. And this puts, you know, it puts everyone in debt, you know, to some level. And if you don't have insurance, or you're in a medium to low income household, 2/3 of bankruptcies are related directly to medical debt, Sharon.
Wow. And so that's got to be individuals, right? The medical debt, you're talking about families.
That's right. That's right. Human, you know, individuals,
yeah.
You know, families, your child gets sick, you're responsible for those bills. You don't have insurance, whether it be, you know, through no fault of your own. Things happen. And so the doctors and the medical community, they're good people. The CEO and the insurance companies, are they, the people that work there, are they evil people? I don't believe they are. However, the doctors, the medical community, they want to treat people, they want to help people, and they do. And the hospitals and the doctors, they absorb the costs of the uninsured. There's over 300,000 uninsured Alabamians. Where do you think that when they go and get treatment, who pays for that? It's passed on to us, the consumer. And we pay more in our insurance and our income, in our premiums. We're forced into this system, Sharon. And it's, you get it through your job, and you get it through whether disability or Medicare, Medicaid. And so we'll talk about some of those things tonight, but we're interested to know, do you think this murder was justified in any way? And on the healthcare system, how does it affect you? And how we deal with it, Sharon, in car wrecks and workers' comp, we see denials specifically in workers' comp. You're injured on the job, you've got health insurance, but you can't use that. You have to go through the workers' compensation carrier, and the playbook is deny and defend, sadly, just like the guy said.
Like first choice, that's the first thing they do.
Let's say the doctor says you need shoulder surgery. Oftentimes, the caseworker will come in and say, well, doc, can't we do physical therapy? And it frustrates the doctors. But, sometimes that works out, and sometimes that client does end up needing that surgery later, and who wants to wait, And so in the car wreck cases, if you have a client with no insurance, you've got huge medical bills. Let's say that there's no liability or there's not enough insurance. Oftentimes they're stuck paying those bills. And so we see that, every day in denials. And, we understand and we see our clients' frustration, and we're frustrated as well. And it's moving towards, Obamacare was one of the most important legislations in the last 10 years, arguably, to try and take a step toward universal health care and avoid all these denials. So it's a difficult, America, we're paying twice as much, and we are 42nd in life expectancy of developed countries in the world. How has that happened? We're the most obese country. Country, thank you. We've got, you want less regulation out there, everybody? Well, you've got companies processing food, get us hooked on processed sugars, and then turn us over to the medical industry, diabetes complex, and treat us more. So do you want regulation? It's hard to eat healthy. It's expensive to eat healthy. You cannot eat healthy on, a budget. And that's just wrong, and Americans don't have a chance when it comes to taking control of their own health unless they're wealthy, and that ain't right. And so it's just something that has to be addressed, and I hate it that it's being addressed through this awful murder, but it does bring up questions that people want to talk about. And the support is unsettling because, Sharon, it's a system, the CEOs, the people, they're not evil. They're in a system that is voted in by our legislature. And our legislature is held hostage by the healthcare industry lobby that's about $750 million of lobbying money going towards blocking any form of universal health care, which studies show that 60 to 70% of Americans want that in some form. And so they're spending that much money lobbying against it. Who's the winner here? And those lobbyists, by the way, are ex-government officials.
Yeah.
And so we're caught up in the scheme. And so I say again, it comes down to the voters to vote in lawmakers that will address this problem. And right now, they're whores to the insurance healthcare lobby, and that's winning the game. And us, the consumers, we're losing. And so those are questions that we want to address.
So call in or text, and we've got callers on the line. We've got Howie on the line from Huntsville. Hi, Howie, thanks for calling in. What is your situation? What do you know about this, and what's been your experience?
Well, this is something that I sold a house to someone about 3-4 years ago on a land contract or bond for title, where I financed it, but I hold the title to the house. And about a year ago, the person I sold it to went to the hospital, and it turns out his insurance company refused to pay the bill, and apparently they're suing him for a lot of money. And what I want to know is if they win the lawsuit, which it looks like it's going to happen, do I have to give the house to the hospital, or how does that work?
Wow.
Has the sale already gone through? You've closed?
Yeah, this was a few years ago. I sold it a few years ago. I'm financing it as a land contract because I hold the title. The bond for title in Alabama allows that. It's kind of like a mortgage and a deed, but I hold the title in trust. And when they finally pay off the mortgage, pay off the amount of the contract, I'm obligated to, like the contract, to deed the house the
Right.
purchaser. But
Well,
the purchaser went to the hospital.
Right. Howie, let's assume that the purchaser loses their lawsuit with the hospital. And so the hospitals oftentimes will file a lien. And if they don't recover on that lien, they'll file an action against the consumer or the patient. And those services were rendered. When you go in the hospital, you sign those forms, giving them permission to treat you, and you're agreeing to the prices they charge. And, we took depositions, 1 year, and we found out that there was $4 for a mucus recovery system. And what that turned out to be is a freaking Kleenex. And so
$4?
Yeah, for a Kleenex. But they called it a mucus recovery system. And so, but back to Howie's question, if the purchaser loses this lawsuit, they cannot, pay for this mortgage. They may have to file bankruptcy. And so, Howie, you may have to foreclose or repossess that home and then sell it to somebody else. It looks like it's going down that road unless the purchaser wins that lawsuit, and we'll see. But it sounds like it's affecting him as well on down the line.
Hospitals typically file liens, right?
Right.
On patients when there's a big bill that's not paid yet?
They file liens, and oftentimes there's a law that says they have an automatic lien if you go in on an emergency basis. Okay. And so whether or not you sign those documents or not, there's going to be a lien. You come in unconscious, you wake up, next thing you know, you got $100,000, $200,000 worth of medical bills. And again, the hospital has to recover the money they pay out. I don't begrudge them for that. But the system that we're in with so many uninsured Alabamians, let's talk about our state, with so many uninsured Alabamians, somebody has to pay that bill. The hospital has to do things to collect on those bills until we get some more reasonable laws in force and effect to help the hospitals, to help uninsured families. I mean, we got a lot of low and middle income homes and families that are without coverage, and it's a tragedy, really.
We're going to take a break. Call in the 31 Law Call number 536-0077. You can call in. You can also text us to that number.
You're watching WAAY 31 Law Call. Your rights, your calls, live. Presented by the Tennessee Valley's award-winning personal injury and wrongful death law firm, Timberlake, League & Brooks. Featuring the knowledge and experience of Attorney Michael Timberlake, Attorney Will League, Attorney Heath Brooks, Attorney William Maservi. And hosted by broadcaster and family law attorney Sharon Doviet. This is WAAY 31 Law Call.
Welcome back to 31 Law Call. Tonight we're talking about insurance denials in relation to the headlines and the stories about the healthcare executive gunned down. We're talking about insurance denials and how insurance companies work. Will League is here from Timberlake League and Brooks, and they handle personal injury cases, and they deal with insurance companies all the time. You can call in 536-0077. You can also text to that same number, and you can also email us, and we've got an email. So this email came in from Tim. Tim says, my doctor has recommended that I have surgery for a long-standing condition, but the insurance company refuses to pay for it unless I try this other treatment first. Is that legal? It should be the doctor's call what treatment I'm going to get.
Yeah, that's the typical course. The doctor recommends treatment, insurance company denies it, and says, okay, you got to go to physical therapy or some other type of less invasive modalities, usually cheaper. That's usually, it's about money. And oftentimes the doctor will go to bat for you with the insurance carrier. And a lot of doctors' jobs, or part of their, sadly, some of their jobs, is to call the insurance carrier, find out why are they denying it. Because a lot of times they'll take the records and they'll send them to an outside physician that's never seen the patient, and this physician will say, well, I think physical therapy, or I think, as opposed to this back surgery, let's try epidural steroid injections first. And the doctor's on the front lines. The doctor's the one that should make the call. The emailer is absolutely correct. And so oftentimes the doctors do go to bat, talk to the insurance carrier, and see if they can talk them into that. If they cannot, the contract that you have through your employer or the workers' compensation carrier dictates. And so if the contract says, if there's an independent evaluation that says you need to have this other type of treatment, that's what you got and that's what you have to do. Oftentimes the doctor, again, can change their mind, but the contract prevails. And the weird thing about it is you had no real negotiating power in that contract. We take a job, we get insurance through our job, we click, was the top, middle, you get those little things. And so you don't have really the negotiating power to enter in that contract, but you're stuck with it.
Yeah.
And
does calling the insurance company ever make a difference? And an individual calling the insurance company, probably not.
I mean, they don't
I
have
haven't
the
heard
MD
of
behind them, so it's difficult. And when we talk about, a lot of people without insurance.
Yeah.
So we've got, over 300,000 or odd Alabamians that need care.
Yeah.
All right. We've heard about Medicaid expansion. We're one of only 10 states without expanding Medicaid that benefit over 300,000 Alabamians, help rural hospitals, which that's a big issue. We got some of those hospitals in the middle, not in the middle of nowhere, but way out there, and people are having babies. They need care, but they cannot survive because there's a lot of uninsured people out there. And the hospitals can't survive, and the doctors can as well. And it helped thousands of veterans through their programs. And Alabama would only need to cover 10% of the costs.
Okay, so what is it that would have to take place for Medicaid expansion to happen in Alabama?
Governor Ivey signed the bill. Governor Ivey signed it in, and that's all we're waiting for. So it's a standoff between conservatives and the folks that are trying to push this. So Medicaid right now, you have children, the elderly, those with disabilities, and those with kids can be covered if they earn 18% of the poverty level. Okay. So it's a very small window of people covered. But if they expanded Medicaid, again, we got hundreds of thousands of people that would have coverage. The federal government in Alabama, we're hurting.
Yeah.
All right. Thank goodness for Mississippi. But there's, I read a stat that West Virginia and Mississippi, the only thing keeping Alabama from being 50 or 49 is they have lower life expectancies than Mexico. And so it's insane. Yeah. It's insane. And so, Ivey signs the bill, we expand Medicaid, federal government pays for 90%, we cover 10%.
We cover 10%.
And rural hospitals, all those things come into play. And I get it, a lot of people are sitting, hey, I don't need this, I've got coverage. Well, good for you, but there's a lot of people out there that don't. A lot of people out there that something happens, they lose their job, they lose their insurance, and they're bankrupt, and their life is upside down, and now they're dealing with, things that, and nobody gets sick by choice. Right. And these are all things that people need help with. We all need help with, and it's something that affects us all. And it's just frustrating for the ones that don't have coverage and they're in trouble that Medicaid will not be expanded. We're only one of 10 states. It's a head scratcher.
We got this email question from Mike. Mike says, is there a statute of limitations on filing against an insurance company for bad faith? Okay, bad faith, what is that? And then talk us through How do you pursue an insurance company and get them for that?
You know, it's rare, unreasonable denials.
Okay.
Let's say the doctor recommends treatment, they deny it, and the delay causes you harm
All right.
in some way. They're difficult cases to prove because you're going to find a doctor say, well, do you have time to, who's to say it got worse because of that delay?
Gotcha.
You can file a breach of contract or fraud if there's no arguable or debatable reason for denying that claim. They're going to have a debatable reason. So the law is with the insurance carriers. And that's no surprise because most of the lobbyists down in Montgomery, are with the healthcare industry, to be fair, and the laws are slanted. So if they get a denial, they're going to have an arguable or debatable reason, and usually bad faith will not carry. So there really is no teeth to punish the insurance carriers, for their denials. And part of the, some of this stuff was on social media, and part of the frustration is there's no outlet to try and challenge the insurance carriers. And oftentimes lawyers like our firm and other firms that do what we do are the gatekeepers that try and protect the consumers. And our teeth are being pulled, and with regard to fraud and bad faith, with the insurance carriers, they almost don't exist because they're going to have an arguable or debatable reason, and that limits the consumer's right to challenge those things. And so it's almost unchecked. Sharon.
If you got them for bad faith, if you tried that case, you went through it, it's going to take a couple of years to prove,
That's
right? You prove it, you win your case, and yes, the jury says this was bad faith. What's the punishment? What do you win?
Money damages.
Bigger money than you would have otherwise.
Well, I mean, you would some type of compensation award, but again, you've already lost your health. And at the end of these cases, I tell clients, all we're good for is trying to make a change.
Yeah.
And we can get you some compensation. It doesn't bring your health back. It doesn't, the burn cases, the death cases. Nobody's, was not bringing anybody back.
Right.
And so those denials and some of the other side on social media is, calling the CEO a cold-blooded killer. Yeah. Just because he didn't use a gun. All those denials, all the hundreds, thousands and hundreds of thousands of people that have died for not having care or being denied for cancer treatment. Who wants to go through radiation and chemo? Nobody.
Yeah.
And then they're
jumping
denying
down to get that.
What do you do? Where do you go?
Yeah.
They'll call us and they say, there's not much we can do. Let's look at your policy. And the policies, again, are written in favor of the carrier.
Right.
And they hold the power.
How often is it that you bring the lawsuit and then finally the insurance company says, okay, we'll cover it?
A lot of times in workers' compensation with unreasonable denials, then we can file, outrage claim. Saying, look, they've denied this, it's out, and based on those factors, we can get into some of those things. And that's one of the only avenues that we'll see success with, unless the insurance company just blatantly is violating their own policy procedures. Sometimes you'll see that.
Okay.
And, it's a case-by-case basis, but they have to blow it or breach the contract so bad that it gives us a foothold.
How do you deal with those kind of issues with workers' comp when they don't want to cover something?
Well, so again, the workers' compensation, it's, if you're injured on the job and let's say you got Blue Cross Blue Shield, you can't use your Blue Cross Blue Shield. You are then captive through the workers' compensation system. And the doctors, again, they're good folks. They want to try and help people, but they are under a mandate from the insurance carrier is what they can and can't do based on the treatment. I mean, based on the policy. And so usually you'll go to occupational health group, and let's say your shoulder's hanging off and you need a shoulder surgery or you need a neck surgery, and it's clear to most doctors.
To everybody but the insurance company.
Oftentimes they say, hey, go suck it up and get in physical therapy, and you're hurting yourself worse. But by the time we get that lawsuit filed and the wheels of justice turn slow, it doesn't affect their immediate need to have a life-saving and enjoyment of life surgery to help their physical condition. And some of the most frustrated clients we have are workers' compensation clients. They're not working, they can't get back to work, and they can't get their body fixed so they can go work, take care of their family. And not only is it the physical part, but the emotional part of being able to be the breadwinner for your family, being able to take care of your loved ones. And you take the health away, and you take that feeling of accomplishment away of being able to take care of your loved ones. That's some serious stuff. Yeah. And that affects people. We get clients into counseling, and we try and help them the best way we can. But it's so devastating that it's something that needs to be addressed. And one of the reasons we want to do this show tonight is the murder's tragic, but some of the issues that it brings up with regard to the healthcare system in America, it's broken. We're 42 out of all developed countries in life expectancy, and we're the most rich, powerful country in the world. How can that be? And it comes down to the legislature and being held hostage by the lobbyists.
We're going to take a break. Be right back talking about insurance denials. Stay with us. If you haven't gotten your questions answered tonight, here's how to reach Will League with Timberlake League and Brooks in Huntsville. They are personal injury attorneys, so that's everything from nursing home negligence to car accidents. 256-536-0770 or 800-804-2502. The website is law-injury.com, and if you like them on Facebook, you can learn more about the law that way.
And Sharon Doviet, family law attorney, 539-7337. SharonFamilyLaw.com, child custody divorce.
So we're talking about insurance denials. Blue Cross Blue Shield was down in Montgomery with a presentation this week.
That's right. So Blue Cross Blue Shield, the largest insurer in Alabama, they've got a monopoly, by the way. They got 80-90% of the market.
Yep.
45% of all costs, medical costs, go towards profit. Again, it's a for-profit company. But what they have done is proposed a plan to use the Medicaid expansion money to let that money go to Blue Cross and Blue Shield to then have private insurance, to provide private insurance to those without health care. It helped 300,000 Alabamians, but that just puts more power with Blue Cross and Blue Shield.
Makes me want to read more about it. Thanks for your questions. See you next week.